Welcome.
Welcome to the Everything Podcast. This is episode I'm reviewing the Neighbours episode released on the 22nd of July 2024. But before we get there, I've got to do a little amendment to the last episode, which in the last episode I was reviewing an episode of the Big Finish podcast, and I was talking about Operation Werewolf and not being able to listen to it. Now, since I recorded that episode and I'm recording this one, Operation Werewolf is now available. You're able to download it. But Death World and that's Lost Stories, Death World and The Death and Life of Every Song, Last Words are still both not available at the moment. Just a little update there. Back to this episode, which, as I said, I'll be covering the Neighbours episode released on the 22nd of July 2024. But before I get to my review, will be the cast, writer, director and synopsis is, well, you know the release date anyway. So it stars Sarah West as Cara Varga Murphy, Naomi Rukavina as Remy Varga Murphy, Marley Williams as Dex Varga Murphy, Riley Bryant as JJ Varga Murphy, Lloyd Will as Andrew Rodwell, Candice Leask as Wendy Rodwell, Georgie Stone as Mackenzie Hargraves, Emerald Chan as Sadie Rodwell, Lucinda Armstrong Hall as Holly Hoyland, Magella Davis as Krista Sinclair, Xavier Molyneux as Byron Stone, Shiv Palka as Hez Devkar, Stephen Dennis as Paul Robinson, Tim Carno as Leah Tanaka, Lucinda Cowden as Melanie Pearson, Ian Smith as Harold Bishop, Hannah Monson as Nicolette Stone, Annie Jones as Jane Harris, Matt Wilson as Aaron Brennan, Henrietta Graham as Sam Young, Alan Fletcher as Carl Kennedy, Jackie Woodburn as Susan Kennedy, Aisha Salamtana as Now Rebecca Amaloglu as Therese Willis, and Ryan Maloney as Toadie Rebecca. The writer of this episode was Paul Gartside, and the director was Tony Osaka. Here's the synopsis. Wendy's lies come back to bite her. A chasm opens between JJ and Dex. Toadie struggles to move on from the past, and Susan finds herself in a compromised position. As I previously mentioned, this episode was released on the 22nd of July 2024. My previous episode is it was interesting to see Toadie kind of come to terms with, the presumed death of Dee, which wasn't a death eventually, Sonia's death, Melanie, him seeing Melanie all around all the time. And this seems to be a storyline because we do know that Ryan Maloney, who you heard there, plays Toadie, is leaving the show at some point soon. And it seems to be related to the Death in the Outback week, which starts on the 19th of August, the 19th, 20th, 21st and 22nd of August 2024. So about a month from the episode I'm talking about here, but yeah, it's about 2 weeks from when I'm recording it. So there's that interesting storyline. The Wendy and Andrew stuff, well, that just why secrets can be so painful. Same with the JJ and Dex stuff, actually. And the Susan finding herself in a compromising position. I think a lot of people will learn not to do specific things at work and not mix personal and professional. But without further ado, here's my review of the Neighbours episode released on the 22nd of July 2024. We start off, as always, with a previously recap and the title sequence. Toadie remembers Sonia about to open up a nursery, as well as proposing to Sonia. Toadie lets Cara know he can no longer help her with renovating the sunroom. Toadie informs Rhett that he won't shut down Sonia's nursery. Moira informs Susan and Therese of her missing hat. Therese invites Susan and Carl to join her. Harold and Toadie for dinner tomorrow. Therese reminds Susan of her work hours. Now feels that something is off between Dex and JJ. Carl and Susan agree to a date. Remy and Cara mention Tony. Andrew compliments Wendy. Wendy invites Andrew to join her for dinner. Cara accidentally exposes Wendy pretending to be single. Wendy attempts to explain herself. Andrew cancels dinner with Wendy. Andrew reminds Wendy that he and Sadie may not have found out about her double life. Carl reminds Toadie of the foundation, which is in Sonia's name. Carl mentions Dee, who was technically, I think, Toadie's first wife before he drove them both off a cliff, and she was missing for nearly 20 years, I think it was, in the end. Toadie mentions Melanie and Paul. Obviously, Melanie is his most recent ex-wife, following the events of, well, from the 2022 finale up until, and we didn't really know what had happened when the show came back in September 2023 until Flashback Week, which was in November 2023. Melanie and Paul is obviously Therese's ex-husband and has had more wives than Toadie has by some margin. JJ promises not to interfere with Nell and Dex's dates. Toadie mentions cheating on Therese with Melanie, which I think was shown in episode 100 of the new show, since it came back last year. Toadie rationalises his feelings. Carl doesn't understand why Susan wants to go home. Maura checks with Susan about progress on her missing hat. JJ apologises. Remy and Cara pick up on the friction between JJ and Dex. Andrew does some boxing. JJ checks on Andrew. Susan finds Maura's hat. Susan gets undressed and exposed by Maura. Carl actually understands what Susan has been hinting at. Susan believes Carl has work zoned her. Carl comforts Susan. Wendy mentions her friction with Andrew. Aaron gives Wendy some advice. Aaron reassures Wendy. Cara apologises. Cara asks Wendy to not tell anyone that she is studying at university. Andrew reminds Wendy who she really is. Andrew misinterprets Wendy's words. Toadie's finishing writing his letter to Dee. Andrew is ignoring Wendy's messages, and the episode finishes off with a next time trailer. Next time on the Everything Podcast, I'll be reviewing the next Neighbours episode, which was released a day later on the 23rd of July 2024. Here's the trailer.
Coming up on Neighbours.
Dad just flew in.
Vic.
My ex-husband is in town. So why is he here? What does he want?
Can't skip all the big stuff and then roll in here and act like a father.
You must be Haz's sister. Thanks for holding the fort, but I'll take it from here. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You in the mirror. I don't get what's wrong. What did I do?
You're not my boyfriend anymore.
Fine by me. Come here, fella.
This is Logan. Logan, this is Aaron. Aaron was married to David.
Melanie has told me all about him. I can't even imagine what you've been through after you lost your partner.
You want to make sure you make a good first impression.
Aren't you going to get in trouble for ditching school?
Your son is the bad influence here.
Your coffee's on fire. I had to think the residents of Irene Rising will be the very first to try it tomorrow.
There's been another poisoning.
Welcome to the official opening of Irene Rising.
Chin chin. What does that taste?
Help! Help!
That is the most recent Neighbours trailer that is currently available. But back to this episode, let me know what you thought of the Neighbours episode released on the 22nd of July 2024. If you watch it, my review didn't give me your thoughts on both of those in the comments below, as well with anything else you want me to go on the channel. So give me a review session for your favourite TV show or movie. Some of the ones that I've had like Argyle, which I'm working through, Hitman, Back to the Future Part 2, on movies and TV wise, Fallout, The Boys Season 4, and both seasons of House of the Dragon. But yes, split your as well as maybe your favourite some news about I always get that bit wrong. Your news about your favourite TV show or movie which you want me to talk about, because as I previously mentioned, I'll talk about Sunday Comic Con and D23 2024. D23 is only a couple of days away from when I'm recording, and San Diego Comic Con was over a week ago. But put your thoughts on those in the comments below. Remember, you can also like, comment and subscribe, and that's it for this episode of the Everything Podcast. Goodbye.